Classic World of Warcraft is known for its journey to the max level, which can take hours upon hours, and it's unforgiving world where if you pull an extra mob, dead. If you go AFK and a scorpion sees you, dead. If you go in a cave unprepared, dead. If your door goes while you're underwater for a quest, dead. If you stand on a fire accidentally for too long, dead. The point being, death is constantly waiting for you. Take into account the amount of hours it takes for you to even hit max level, this is a recipe for disaster. I've had my eye on events like the OnlyFans and, well, all the twists and turns that came from that.
What am I supposed to do for you?
As well as finally experiencing classic WoW for myself. Well, it's time for me to say, I've never played hardcore WoW, so I'm gonna master it. Now we have to choose a class and a faction, alliance or horde, and there was only ever one option. It's one of the hardest classes for me to play in hardcore, and that is Hunter. Imagine this. If you feign your death for too long, you actually die.
If you feign death for 6 minutes, you die.
If your pet decides to pull more than one creature, you die. Having a permanent speed boost, if you get hit with it on, well, you die. But I was willing to overcome these obstacles to become the most powerful hunter I can. One that shall never perish. And then was born the Orc Hunter, Antijax HC. I couldn't just use Antijax as someone took my name, damn you. Wow, that's a mess of a UI. Give me a second to clean this up, much better. And we're in. There's people questing, and it's been a little while since I've played any classic. Our journey begins in the Valley of the Trials, a place I never get sick of seeing. And our first task as a level 1 hunter is to slay some boars, the staple in any MMORPG and signifies the start of your journey. And I am immediately reminded by the hunter mechanics in the vanilla version of the game. Arrows, gotta be bought, and well, there's a thing called the dead zone. If a creature gets too close to you, you can't shoot it with your powerful bow. So we managed to slay 10 of them to dwindle their population as they're all eating all the crops that barely grow around these parts of the world. After this, and proving we were actually a worthy hunter, we had some more tasks. Things like collecting cactus apples, of well, some of the most highest textures of a cactus I've ever seen in my life, has now taken on a much deadlier predator too, a scorpion worker. Not sure what work it actually does, and they seem to be friendly as you can just run past them, but we need to kill them for the tails. I'm sorry guys. I did a /who 60 to see if there was anybody at max level, and I was pretty shocked. There's quite a few online, so this feat is definitely possible. Could I potentially do this first try? As I was adventuring around the valley, I came across a troll that had been poisoned, and he was just dying under a tree. Nobody came to his rescue, until now. He knew his time was over, and he just wanted revenge. So me being the hero I was, wanted to do this task for him. After I got some more tails and picked some more apples, because I'm sure that guy's poison will wait, atop of the hill was a deadly scorpion. Stood out to me because of its blood-drenched eyes, but Antijax shot his bow, swung his axe, taking down this pest. The next task on our young hunter's list was to slay some demons that have slowly trickled out of a cave. Now this cave will be a place we'll venture into again soon, but first we have to make sure that they don't get closer to our village by taking out 12 of them. And thankfully nothing at this level is an issue, at least so far. It all seemed pretty relaxing. After learning some new spells like Aspect of the Monkey, which increases our dodge chance, which I always thought was a useless spell, but this might actually be a lifesaver later on. After walking around and smashing lazy peons on their head with a wooden stick, it was time to enter into the cave. Now caves are apparently one of the deadliest places on hardcore WoW, and at least from what I've seen too. One bad pull, one extra mob respawn, equals death. Also in a cave as a hunter, I really can't get the distance to shoot. So after I take down one of them, I keep carry on killing, but as I pull a mob already, another one instantly respawns. And then one respawns behind me, so I might be in trouble here already. My heart started to race. I didn't want to die at level 4, but thankfully these mobs don't hit too hard. Just gave me a massive wake up call that I actually have to pay attention 24/7. I came to the realization that I also forgot a quest that I've done thousands of times, which is lovely. So this means I've got to come back to the cave. Well, next time I managed to make my way back in with no heart racing moments, pick up the pickaxe, and with that we finished off our last task in the Valley of Trials, taking out the big bad scorpion, slaying some demons, punishing workers, with probably the easiest part of this journey now behind us. It was time for us to venture out into the harsh world of Warcraft. Our first stop outside of the valley where the walls can't really protect us anymore is Sen'jin village, where the trolls have set up a camp. They give me quite a few tasks ranging from collecting some tiger fur as their numbers have grown, as well as collecting crab snot and fish eyes, lovely. Slaying the trolls that have freed them out as well. But just looking at the level for these quests, nope, no chance. I think I'm under levels, as I usually just go straight to the Echo Isles, but I don't want to die already. I'm pretty close to level 6, so I leveled up on a Scorpion, but it really doesn't give me much faith going for most of them quests just yet, so I decide it's best to go and venture off a bit more, and I end up walking to a big village called the Razor Hill. It's a great place for us to take rest, but these guys are also not without their problems either. Honestly, Antijax is just here to help. I basically just accept everything, and while doing this, I keep hearing some kind of cheering going on. I have no idea what's causing it. Tiragarde Keep is a place that's been overrun with the Alliance scum, Cultiris members to be in fact, and it's our job to clear them out. I've learnt the skill of mining, as well as how to bandage myself, something that's probably going to come in handy I'm sure. Once again I've got to enter a place that's giving me the shivers, a castle, and instantly I can see how this is going to go, as I miss one attack and this instantly pulls another mob. So in this castle is a leader too, Lieutenant Benedict, but he's surrounded by a few soldiers. I carefully pull one away from them without arousing suspicion, but something doesn't feel right. I don't think I can tank a level 7 and a level 8. So I decide to shoot Benedict hoping he comes on his own, but he doesn't. I then think like a hunter and I try and kite him out of his castle. This is really risky, one mob respawn and it could be over. My damage isn't great and the angles are pretty hard for me to shoot him as I bring him to about 50%, but a mob has respawned on my way out, so now I've got 3 on me. This is bad, this could be death. But as I do some parkour stuff to get to the high ground...
It's over, Anakin! I have the high ground!
The mobs completely bug out. They just stand there awkwardly looking at me. I try to shoot Benedict in the face, but he does some paranormal stuff, and okay, at least now I potentially have a safe spot. So I go and try again, nuking down Benedict now with much more confidence and doing way more damage to him. But they catch up to me quite quick. Yet again another mob is respawned, but I decide to just go for the Benedict's throat and slay him, before going 1v1 with the Marine. Luckily I have a health potion, restoring some HP, but I'm out of mana, and this looks like it's an equal fight. We're both evenly matched and I refuse to run away, so we just stand and trade blow for blow to death. And thankfully my axe is doing more damage. Yeah, I'm not sure if I'm doing this whole hardcore thing right, but it's pretty fun so far. I was then swimming in the ocean, getting them fishy bits for the trolls, when I forgot how fast that you drown in Classic. So on top of these crabmen hitting me pretty hard, I take a lot of damage from drowning too. But then one of these crab people attack me when I'm not fully ready, so I don't even get to shoot them with my bow for big damage first, and he's hitting me a lot harder than I'm hitting him. I've got no potions left, and I've got really no escape points at this point, so we just stand and fight him to the death too, and I think I'm dead now. It was a nice attempt at least. I pop Blood Fury, giving me a massive damage increase, which I probably should have done earlier as I only have 40 HP, but then boom, I get a dodge, thanks to Aspect and a monkey that ability earlier, meaning I barely scraped by and survived yet another scary moment. So then while mining, scorpions often would attack me. In fact, they would hunt me in pairs, coming out of every nook and cranny they could find, and I was struggling to survive already in the harsh lands of Durotar. They hit me hard, and then I made a grave mistake. While auto-attacking one down with a poison on me, I lost a bit of focus and looked at my other monitor. A second scorpion then came and ambushed me, and I've got no HP left, 2 dots of poison on me, and I just typed dead. I knew it was over as I ran away as fast as I could, just in case I would survive. But he hits me again, and thankfully the poison is not taking for barely any damage, and I once again barely survive. I have been so lucky to not die already, but surely this luck is going to run out if I don't start paying more attention. Well, because I've nearly died from copper, I spent some time leveling up my mining, and I also learned engineering too. I heard it was a very good profession to have for hardcore WoW, so I need to keep on top of it, and try and craft and keep my hunter growing in power. With a lot more supplies now in my bags, it was getting time to head south again, over to them Echo Isles, a place I was pretty fearful of, especially considering how my last few hours has gone for me. On the isles before the main land is the tigers and raptors, which we need to skin for their fur. But these islands are also surrounded by these goddamn crab people. Honestly, I hate these guys, they hit really hard. We could also start slaying the trolls here to help them get back their home. This area is quite populated with players, and we all need to kill the same trolls and the same leader, so I decided to do what an MMORPG is all about and group up. I've seen this mage about quite a lot, and before we know it, we have a party of 3 lean killing troll machines, collecting skulls of the fallen and just purging the villages. But quite quickly things can just go south. Our mage sort of goes AFK like I did earlier while our rogue is in a hut, and he runs out with 2 or 3 trolls on him as I'm out of mana and I'm at half HP. We both were getting battered, and thankfully the mage wasn't fully AFK, or I think me and the rogue was pretty much gone as them. The mage completes his quest and just dips with my heart rate elevated, and then I finish off the Echo Isles myself. And thankfully, I didn't perish as we swim back to civilization. We share all the things we've accomplished with the trolls and we get close to level 10, which is a huge milestone in our hunter's journey. And I'll tell you why when we hit it. Farming my way through Durotar, look who I'm with again. Yeah, it's our good friend the mage, who I've forgiven for going AFK. We teamed up quite a lot throughout this whole Durotar adventure, killing Quill boars and doing things, and I wasn't sure why an undead was in these parts of the wood anyways. He would constantly say SS to me, and I don't even know what it meant at all. But then I get daring, and I linked him a level 12 quest. Wow, I'm level 9, and I know this could be a hard one. I even said, or not yet, and he put a plus sign, meaning that he's down to do it. Oh well, let's see if we die. With Razor Hill task complete and Sen'jin village, it was only right we ventured further north up to near the Orc capital. It's a place I haven't seen in a pretty long time, and the run through the valley here is always a peaceful one. As we regroup then at Thunder Ridge, he tells me,
"Here bro."
So I follow him. I'm pretty scared. I know these thunder lizards hit freaking hard, but the mage, or Cal as I'll call him, shows me a skip. I guess if you play hardcore a lot, you probably get very familiar with these starting zones as we look upon the Burning Blade members. This place is really deadly. But I see a shaman run past and it looks like he's got world buffs too. I ask them if they fancy helping and they just join me and start casting a lightning bolt. What could have been a really deadly event turns into a much more manageable thing with a party of us. And I think this might be my key to my survival, to group up with other players when I can, but they can also be a downfall. Spent some time then roaming the lands, helping out people, and I came to the realization that I'm already level 10 with the same crap weapons from the start. But this goblin offers me a quest with a bow upgrade, and I definitely need the upgrades. I fight at level 10 Scorpion and my damage is so low that I have to health potion as I was going to die to one mob. Yeah, it's kind of messed up. I then find a troll in some rocks who once again has been poisoned. How come every troll is always getting poisoned? And yeah, he's dying. So he needs an antidote. When I accept it, it gives me a timer of 45 minutes. So I guess the bow's got to wait and it's time to save a troll. Again. This then takes me straight through the gates of the Horde's mighty city, as I turn the corner and once again set my eyes upon Orgrimmar. Well, it's the main city for the Horde in general, and it feels good to be back. I'm quite surprised by seeing geared level 60s about, and I see a hunter that I want to be just like. As I go to then visit the War Chief's room to get some orders from the big man himself, as well as ask how I can make an antidote for the poor troll. This puts me at level 10, a huge milestone in our journey as I put a talent into Beast Mastery. This will allow our pet, yep, we get a pet, to become stronger. But we don't have a pet yet, and we don't really have time to get one either. However, I did take a detour to the Hunter Trainer and accept the quest, the Hunter's Path. This is a quest to take me on to tame a beast, and I train some spells, although I'm really struggling for cash right now. So for an antidote, we need to go back outside and get 4 Venom Tail sacks from the Scorpions as the clock is ticking down. On my very first Scorpion that I attack, well, I'm struggling to deal damage and this guy's just slapping me. I'm out of potions, so it's also a pretty close fight, yet again. Maybe I'm waiting too long to pop Blood Fury in these situations, but this was just one Scorpion and I need to obtain 4 sacks. This is going to be rough. On top of this, I was also having computer problems. My PC just fully shuts down and I was playing hardcore, so it was just risky all the time. As I logged back on, I was on 1 HP with a poison on me and I typed, "Oh my god." Somebody must have saved me in the area. I see an undead swinging his axe and I ask him if he saved me, but then I see a bear running for his life from a raptor at 1%. It must have been him, my hero. I bandage him, but this raptor was relentless and swapped its sights to me. We then team up to take it down, but this was a very scary time. I nearly died from a PC crash. The bear nearly died to saving me from scorpions and a raptor. He said he got 4 ads on him in the end, so I'm guessing just as I was about to die, that a scorpion aggroed onto him. My hero, I will never forget. I quickly then ran to the main capital to log out as I was scared of another crash happening. A week or so passed and I couldn't fix the issue and I was really missing playing my hunter. So I decided to just continue with the risk I could die basically at any point. Any PC crash, it's over. I spoke to the hunter trainer who gave me my first task, which was to tame a dire mottled boar. Now this is a scary process trying to get a wild animal to like you. For 10 seconds or so you sat there letting them take chunks out of you and there's nothing you can do about it. But once tamed they become your companion. This is all I have to do to learn how to get a pet. I've got to tame like a chunky fella like the boar, then I've got to cross the land to tame myself a crab, as well as other animals. Once I've done this, I head back to the hunter trainer and I get myself all the skills needed to tame myself a pet. With all my knowledge, I decided it was time to go for it, With all my knowledge, I decided it was time to tame my pet for the whole journey, and in honour of a dwarf I met on my original classic journey on the Alliance side, I tame a wild boar, and there can only be one name for this kind of creature, as it decides to be my friend, and that is Bob. Bob the boar. Boars eat anything, and they have a charge ability. What more can I ask for from a trusted companion? And now I can surely never die with Bob by my side. We killed all the harpies in the valley, working our way towards that bow upgrade finally. But something wasn't right with Bob. Every time I would walk with him, his footsteps was way too loud. It started to grate on my ears a little bit, and with the heat of Durotar and food not being in great supply, well, I ended up in a cave called Skull Rock. Oh yeah, this is Bob too. A tragedy fell to Bob the boar and he made some good pork food. Skull Rock is a very deadly cave, apparently. Me and my friend Forks had teamed up, but I noticed two twinks down below doing the same quest as us. So I asked for an invite and we join up with them. I mean, this warrior has fiery weapon, damn. Together we all take down the orc and get a quest item. Now we need to farm out something called the Lieutenant Insignia, and we're building our way up towards our first dungeon, or at least getting the quest for it first. We clear out the whole of Skull Rock with no deaths thankfully and no PC crashes, and complete most of the quests here. And now we're making a really good dent into our leveling. Oh, and also Bob too also met a weird demise. Turns out he didn't know any abilities and was kinda useless to me. So here is my new pet, just a Scorpid. In Classic, you can only teach pets abilities by learning it from other creatures, by leveling and feeding them. So my plan was to keep this Scorpion until I learn the ability Claw, and then I can teach it to a Raptor, because Raptors are cooler than Scorpions. While in Orgrimmar, I got two massively powerful world buffs that should make me into a monster, and I spent some time maxing out my mining and my engineering as much as I could. With Durotar basically being complete and a pet by my side, I decided to move on to my favourite zone in the game, the Barrens. I'm still a pretty low level, but I think with my world buffs I can handle it. Now I've heard most people move on to the other starter zones, so you can stay over leveled, but I decided not me. One of our first tasks in this new zone is to head to a pretty sketchy spot. It's on top of a mountain where the fog rolls in fast, making my visibility as a hunter even more obstructed. And I can see burning blade cultists are here, but me and my pet's damage is pretty crazy. I knew I'd be strong with these world buffs, but this strong, damn. I carefully make my way into a cave where they've got some sort of altar of fire, where I destroy a demon seed. Then the whole mountain shakes, so I best get out of here. On my descent, I see an undead run into the same copper vein as me. It's a race, but I win that race, although he still tries to take it from me, but no, not today sir, not today. My PC taking a dump and crashing was a regular occurrence, often happening in the worst areas ever, like this place full of the ugly but deadly Quill ball. I still had one buff left, so I was a little bit cocky with my pulls and I did feel truly untouchable. I even saw some lions chilling under a tree and I was tempted to get rid of my Scorpid, but he was slowly growing on me. I teamed up with a rogue and I ran around the Forgotten Pools, one of the only sources of water around the Barrens, and we just savagely murdered every single centaur we could find. I know groping up can take away a bit of that challenge, but it also adds its own challenges. You often get very cocky and pull way more which you need to, which can lead to scary situations, like the boss, Barret Codobane. If I didn't have an engineering grenade that stuns a target for 1 second, I'm pretty sure I'd just freaking die to one single mob again. I really need to pay slightly more attention. All the questing in the Barrens was for one reason, to get me to dungeons, get some more gear and try and reach level 20 at least without dying. That was my first goal. Finally, I would get weapon upgrades. I had the basics given from quests and they wasn't really that good, but one stamina greens felt really good to get. One of the quests that you do in the Barrens is to summon a rare spirit white lion, and I was very tempted to tame it. But as you can see, my Scorpid is now called Maybe New Bob. And that's because this little guy grew on me. He was super powerful, he knew abilities, and his footsteps didn't wreck my ears. So while I was very, very close to getting rid of Maybe Bob, debating it, someone comes running and steals my mob, attacking him and killing him. And I can't summon him again. So I asked the guy, can you please use your thing to summon him? Which he thankfully does. So now I can kill this one and I loot him for his hide. Now the mage I was with could also loot it and get his hide, but he decides to summon a third lion, then kill it. I actually went to abandon Maybe Bob, and you know what, this is just fate, I'm keeping my little Scorpion. Me and Forks was waiting to find a dungeon, but tanks are actually pretty rare to find, at least for the first dungeon. I guess in a game mode where if you die it's permanent, being the person that is whacked in the face is not appealing. While on Quill board Genocide, I take out their leader, Kreenig Snarlsnout. His respawn time was a little bit long, and I eventually found and killed him. Then I went to leave the area as I needed just one more Quill boar. Forks passes me by and invites me to his group. So I get one Kill Boar Quill, leave the party, and tell him that I just killed the boss too. Have fun, mate. A bit later, we're still flying through the Barrens. I'm nearly level 16 and we still cannot form a dungeon group. Maybe we're just super unlucky. One thing I was desperately struggling with is bag space. As a hunter, one of your bag slots is immediately took up by ammo, so this gives you even less room. Then we was taking down mercenaries, animals and everything else. We do an escort quest to get a goblin out of his weird predicament. For him to blow himself up and die, but then he appears quite fine in front of himself, so I am confused. A bit later on, we're still searching for a bloody tank. I get myself some shoulder pads as well, and now we're really starting to look cool. But finally, we get a tank for our first dungeon. While I'm in the field killing raptors, now watch my HP because I'm in autopilot mode typing to Forks. This raptor all of a sudden decides to crit me and attack me 5 to 10 times in the same second, chunking my health. I didn't realise that at all until the very last second I used a health potion, and that was extremely close. I gotta wake up, but let's head to our first dungeon. Ragefire Chasm. It's in the belly of Orgrimmar. Trogs, cultists and demons await you. We had a troll shaman tank, something I've not really seen since Season of Discovery. Rest in peace to that version. We have plenty of quests here, so XP is good. And honestly, things are just really easy. We don't have any issues, whatever. It was a little bit anticlimactic, to be honest. Well, I mean, we are all a high level as it took us so long to find a tank. I got some boot upgrades with 1 stamina again. It's always a 1 stamina upgrade. XP is good, and breaking up the Barrens questing with Ragefire Chasm. I just wish I could tell you that we overpulled and we were sweating for our lives, but this group was just way too efficient. Carefully placed pulls, breaks for drinks, and high damage means we slayed every single demon and cultist in this place. And our band of adventurers went their separate ways as quick as we formed together. I also tried to be a crafty little devil. I challenged a low-level player to a mat garage. It's a duel to the death. He obviously didn't accept, but I wanted to try and claim my first victim. I'm gonna try and do that. My goal was to finish off the Barrens and get Wailing Caverns done to tick off the first part of my journey. As the sun was setting and I was still fighting the centaurs, I came across my first rare creature, Rock Lance. Now a rare at this level probably doesn't offer me much except a chunk of experience and perhaps some loot. No, I'd be as stupid to attempt to take on not just a high level elite creature, but he's got 2 security guards with him too. Well, I actually am stupid. I went to attempt this, my thought being if I could pick off the low levels fast, I could kite them. Well, this is where I mess up. The level 15s don't die as fast as I hoped, but I do manage to kill one. My pet is getting destroyed, even Mend Pet isn't keeping him alive. I kill both of this guy's friends, but I have to run away. I reuse a swiftness potion to make sure I do survive. Now with him on his own, I'm thinking surely this will be easy. Well, I place a trap, which uses a lot of mana, and I pull him, and I completely make him miss my trap, so I'm an awesome hunter. This means I now have 0 mana to heal my pet or do damage with. I just have to auto shoot and pray, but I rip aggro from Bob. So I just keep running away, but he's fast and catches up to me. I threw my copper bombs, but my pet is not helping me at all. All I can do is keep running and let maybe new Bob do his damage with his poison. It's a battle of running into wing clipping and kiting, and I do eventually kill him and get an absolutely useless green for doing so. Fantastic. I get pop-ups too when people die. It's part of an add-on called Deathlog. And I didn't think Ragefire Chasm was pretty deadly, but this warlock found out by dying to a boss in there. As night fell upon the Barrens, it was an eventful first day. Me and Forks were just finishing off our quest and I really needed to go to the loo, which is British for toilet. So I naturally chose the best place to AFK in a tower where mobs respawn. At least Forks is going to protect me while I'm AFK for a few minutes. Then a rogue appears and claims me as one of his... I'm actually in his guild, so I guess that's what he meant. And they're both just awkwardly staring at me. Before Jiffy says, "He taking A," and Forks agrees that I chose the best spot to go AFK. But I did return just in time as the mobs start respawning and we're going to do a pretty long escort quest together. I snagged myself a nice little chest upgrade, but my bags are just always full. It is pain, I tell you, pain. I might just have to use all my gold on upgrades rather than try and save up for a mount. As we're escorting this blood elf to Ratchet, we take down their captain, Bleeder Baron Longshore, who usually is a pain for me to find. Then as we move over to the next tent, Baron Longshore is also there. He either has a twin or he's got an instant respawn. That's crazy. But as night fell, it was time to rest our eyes and come back fresh tomorrow. And nothing beats early morning questing with a nice cup of tea on a rainy morning. And I was in my element. I ventured further down south while we was going to do Wailing Caverns, another dungeon. I slain an old Kodo who lived a great life called Locatar Marnie. Probably said that wrong. As a hunter, dealing with high level mobs was getting easier for me. And me and maybe new Bob was a force to be reckoned with. Well, that was until I got cocky. I ended up accidentally pulling several mobs, new Bob ended up perishing, and I had no mana with a poison dot on me. Luckily my staff clomped him on his head for a critical hit, but with all the deaths Bob was having, he wasn't happy with me. And it was time for another dungeon. Well, once again, to try and find a tank for this dungeon. I looted a Centaur's head who was right pain in the arse to find, and I'd nearly completed the whole of the Barrens as I fast approached level 20. So one of the hardest quests, and where a lot of people die, is here, and this quest is called Counterattack. I teamed up with a priest to get it done, and it's basically waves upon waves of centaurs. And you've got a lot of horde NPCs killing things for you, so it's not that hard, right? Well then out comes this dude you gotta kill, an elite. Now with all these guards and a priest, I didn't think this would be hard. But he's level 20, he aggroes onto the priest, and the priest is getting absolutely annihilated. I'm trying to help him with damage, and I probably should have slowed him looking back, but the priest puts on his night shoes and is gone. Maybe Bob finally does his job and gets aggro, and from there on out, it's a pretty easy kill. But I was really close for that priest. I then did some engineering by the way, and you might notice I've got some lovely goggles on my head, and I'm slowly becoming way more powerful and looking stylish while doing so. Hours was passing and we could not find a tank for Wailing Caverns, and I was starting to think I just wouldn't get a chance at that beautiful bowl that existed. I just wanted it so bad. But then we got him. We got ourselves a tank, a arms warrior, willing to come to Wailing Caverns. He's a high level 2 and my dream was becoming a reality. Not only was he a tank, he was decked out too. He had a blue weapon with Crusader enchanted on it, as well as my bow that I wanted and decked out in blue gear. This should be easy. As we fought our way through raptors, gunk, monsters, snakes and everything you encounter in the cavern, we entered the dungeon. Now it was a pretty easy time I must say. This warrior had buffs, enchants, the whole shebang. Things just melted. So me being very overconfident and being a huntard, I just ran to the next pack of mobs and auto shot them. Now this was a problem because half of them are casters. The tank couldn't pick up aggro fast enough. The healer was being hit by a viper and I just made this whole thing pretty scary. Folks went really fast and the warrior was getting absolutely chunked down. Now luckily because of his enchant Crusader, which has a chance to heal you, that's what kept him alive. As the tank did tell me off. Yeah, I'm sorry, that was very dumb of me. The rest of the dungeon was a breeze, and it's very lucky we had a warlock in our group too. Because as the tank wanted to stack for some mobs, he then types WTF. And I can't see him until I turn around and see him trapped fighting for his life to get out. I've never once seen this happen, ever. Maybe it's just undeads. As our rogue decides to go and get himself stuck too, thank God we've got a warlock, they would have had to Hearthstone out of here. At least it's nice to know. We then killed the boss for my bow, but it just didn't drop. I'm just not lucky like that. And the rest of the loot here was pretty lackluster too. We completed over all of our quests except Deviate Hides, you can go away Deviate Hides, and we escorted the Disciple of Naralax slowly around the caverns, even doing some parkour to keep my little brain entertained. And as I'm stood there with a bunch of adventurers, now I'm at level 20s taking down crazy oversized murlocs, already nearly died more times than I can even count, while nearly wiping a twink and suffering for bag space, the thought of death being permanent started to really scare me. I handed in all my quests and I headed to Thunderbluff where a huge upgrade awaited me, the Crescent Staff, a blue staff that's a caster weapon but just super strong, as well as some intellect shoulders. So now we look amazing. With higher gear and higher levels, now comes way more stress and way more danger. So like the video if you liked it, subscribe if you're new for the next episode, and I'll see you in the next one.